The Little Black Boy by William Blake does not deal explicitly with slavery as some of the other poems in this unit do, but it raises questions about race and stereotyping in some very interesting ways. It comes from the Songs of Innocence, so that given what we know now about Blake's distinction between innocence and experience, that is a significant point to keep in mind. The first stanza is identifies the little black boy as the speaker of the poem and demonstrates, first of all, his internalized sense of racial inferiority. He says, "I am black, but oh, my soul is white. White as an angel is the English child." So here he is accepting white as the ideal, and as much as he is collapsing the distinction between black and white by saying, "I am black, but oh, my soul is white," he's still accepting white as the superior term. So clearly the story that the mother tells in stanzas 2 to 5 is intended to address that assumption of inferiority. The mother tells a story that asserts his moral equality with the white boy, in which blackness becomes to some degree an index of God's love. These black bodies and this sunburnt face is but a cloud and like a shady grove. But this blackness is also something that is temporary, something that will pass away in the heavenly afterlife. So clearly the point of the mother's story is that all will become equal in the sight of God at the end. But then the final two stanzas kind of offer a sort of revision of this story. The boy then claims to teach this story to the English boy. "Thus did my mother say and kissed me, and thus I say to the English boy. When I from black and he from white cloud free, and round the tent of God like lambs we joy." So stanza 6 kind of suggests that the black boy has accepted the lesson. But in stanza 7, we see that he is, to a certain degree, changing the story. In stanza 6, both blackness and whiteness are presented as clouds, which will pass away in the sight of God. But while the mother offers him the promise of God's love regardless of his color, he turns around in stanza 7 and suggests that this means that he will become useful to the white boy. "I'll shade him from the heat." And eventually will become like the white boy. Then I'll stand and stroke his silver hair, again idealizing the whiteness, and be like him, and he will then love me. So there's a perverse kind of logic at work in this argument here. If he has in fact become purified by God's love, and if he has become like the white boy, why would there be any need, and how would it be possible for him to shade the white boy in the way he describes? So one irony of this poem then is the black boy's internalization of a belief in his inferiority, which is able to adapt this belief to fit any story, even in this case a highly egalitarian and liberating one, which is clearly how the mother intended it. So the goal for the black boy is still to serve and be loved by the English boy, not God. So another potential irony here is the question of how we as readers are supposed to respond to the mother's story in the first place. If we think back, for example, to The Innocents Chimney Sweeper, we think of how an idyllic afterlife, how that narrative is used to justify earthly injustice. Is the mother story another example of this, in which the mother is basically telling the boy to endure the sufferings of this world because it will all be okay in an afterlife? Or, as in The Innocents Chimney Sweeper, are we supposed to be somewhat more critical of that narrative? And finally, in what sense is the little black boy to be seen as innocent, given this poem's inclusion in the Songs of Innocence? We see that his psyche is so thoroughly pervaded by the world of experience that he's unable to see the world in the innocent light of, for example, the lamb. But at the same time, he remains very much unconscious of the world of experience, much like Tom Dacre in the Innocents Chimney Sweep. In contrast to the narrators of some of those other poems, who are more self-aware about the wrongs done to them, the little black boy remains at least innocent in the sense of being oblivious to the wrong being done to him.